Before going into all of the reasons why you should apply fertilizer and other lawn amendments in proper rates, I'm going to go over some of the steps I took to determine what I needed to put down and how I needed to put it down and how much. So the first thing I did was I went to my local co-op and got the packages to submit a soil test. And it's these little cardboard boxes that you get and you bring them back home, open them up. It also has instructions on them, and they tell you to go around your yard in kind of a grid pattern to get a sample set that you can supply to them. You dry this sample set out, you remove any kind of debris from the sample set, mix it up and put it in the container, mail it off with payment, and they return your results. If for some reason you have parts of your yard that look like they're different or have different compositions or consistencies, for those areas, you would probably submit 2 different tests for each respective area. But you send it off and they send you back a report. And this is the report for my yard. Right away, I can tell from this first analysis section that I'm in pretty good shape for a lot of the nutrients. Everything is coming back either high, very high, or sufficient. So I don't have to worry too much about core nutrients. And as you can see, a lot of these nutrients are the same nutrients that a person would need. Phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, zinc, manganese, copper, iron, boron. Those are all things that people need as well. It kind of makes sense. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, right? So I'm good there. But when it comes to fertilizer, the 3 most important nutrients that you'll see are going to be nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And here, my phosphorus is high minus, and my potassium is also high. Next up is the soil pH. Now, the soil pH is actually the reason why I did the test. My pH here is 5.9. These other numbers, they can give you an indication of what's happening with some of the other elements. And here, even the pH, it gives the actual percentages. If you add these 2 up, that'll come out to be 100. But 5.9 is actually somewhat okay. If I go to this article at Oregon State University called pH Tolerance, it talks about how the best growth pH range is going to be 5.5 to 7.5. And further on in the article, it breaks it down even further from another paper where it talks about how the best growth happens from 6.0 to 7.0. So what that tells me, between 5.5 and the 6.0, right in between both of those, regardless of which one of these you use, 6.5 is going to be the sweet spot. That's what I want to shoot for. But if I'm off a little bit over, a little bit under, I'm fine as long as I'm in that 6.0 to 7.0 range. And I'm really close if I go by what was reported on my soil test report. Below those things, I also have recommendations that were given to me from the co-op. The first thing is the lime recommendation. Because of the pH level, they're suggesting that I put down 110 pounds of limestone per 1,000 square feet. And they also recommend that I do this in batches. So I start with maybe 50 pounds and then scale up to do another 50 pounds. And then they also give me a fertilizer recommendation. Here for my fertilizer recommendation, because all of my nutrients that come in commercial fertilizer, there are only 3 for the most part that you get. The phosphorus and potassium are high. They're recommending that I zero out everything else. So I'm getting some number 00 for all of these recommendations: 3100, 33.500, 4600. It doesn't matter what fertilizer I use as long as everything else is zeroed out except for the nitrogen. And they're also suggesting that instead of me applying at the 1 pound per 1,000 square foot rate, which is the upper limit for what you would typically put down, you don't want to put down more than 1 pound per 1,000 square feet because it can cause problems to either the thing that you're planting or the environment. For me, they recommend 0.7 pounds per 1,000 square feet. So I'm going to follow this to the letter, how they have it recommended to me, once the lawn is established. However, for my establishment phase, I'm probably not going to do this. I'm going to put down regular starter fertilizer that's going to have a little bit of phosphorus in it. It's going to have some potassium in it because I want the lawn to get off to a good start. I don't want any mistakes. And for that, I'd rather it has everything it needs to get started. Once my lawn is started, these recommendations will be my method going forward, and I won't deviate from it until my next soil test. As long as the lawn looks good, things seem healthy, I don't see a reason to really stop this. And I won't be putting down quite as much. This is about a third less of the amount of nitrogen that I'll be putting down, where if I hadn't gotten the test, I wouldn't be doing it this way. So I'm going to be saving myself money and a little bit less of an environmental impact by doing this.